Man, I just had a dickens of a time getting this thing set up. My microphone that I normally use, the one on the stand here, went on the fritz. What is the lesser of two evils? Oh, to me, what is the lesser of two evils? Let me think. Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney running for president. That was my low point in voting anyway. I know I've had a couple low points. Being a Bears fan and betting on them, never wise. I did cast my last vote that day. I voted for Mitt Romney. I thought about the lesser of two evils. I voted for a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormon. The whole Joseph Smith, plates of gold, they were all Freemasons, those guys. Yeah, it was against Barack Obama. And Mitt Romney wrote Obamacare, whatever that is. I know it didn't help me keep my doctor or prove that he was born in Hawaii. What is evil? Hopefully you can all hear me. I had the dickens of a time getting my microphone fixed up for 10 minutes. Oh man, I got to show the disclaimer. Come on. Oh, I had the good news today. It looks like maybe I'll get to stay in the school. Where's that? Oh man. I think I keep it on the desktop. Fair use disclaimers is disclaimed. People here are a particular course of effort to acquire knowledge of the spiritual type, which is why, yeah, I know other people can't say COVID, but I don't think they try. I really don't. I mean, it's not like they let me get away with anything. Any pictures? I didn't have time to do many screenshots today. Nope. No new screenshots. I was too busy from 3 o'clock, getting set up for school and hearing for the first time that, yeah, if they'll let you make payments. So that's a step. I'm not registered, but it is a good step. And I had a lot of faith and patience of, when they're lying to your face, the first instinct of a man is like, I'm going to kick your butt. But as Christians, we have to realize they are the ones that just don't know what they're doing. Hola, Sergio, ¿qué pasa? And another guy wanted me to thank you for being a veteran. It all works out. I'm glad I didn't have to go to war like my father and my son, but I did get trained in how to be a surveyor along with a lot of other things. And I did keep me in shape for a while because when you're on Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, you work out. You don't get it like, oh, we do work out a couple times a month. It's like basic training every day. You get up, you do exercises. I couldn't wait to get out of the military. And not a proud veteran, but I'm pleased with what the Lord has shown me and done for me. So we'll get into what is the evil in a little while. First off, I never saw these guys, and I needed one more tab to try to make this about an hour. And I said, who are these guys? And I listened for about 10 minutes, and I said, I think I'm going to play about 4 minutes of it.
Up in western North Carolina, Asheville, all those areas up in that area, that got smashed by the flooding. There's a big hotel, a gorgeous, ornate hotel up there. And I never knew this till last night. The Biltmore. It's called the Biltmore. Now I knew about the Biltmore, but I'm going to tie it into what's happening in Pacific Palisades and the fact that all of these policies were canceled. And you see in Western North Carolina that the governments there are not willing to rebuild those homes. And some of those people, they didn't think to have flood insurance because they're living on the top of a mountain. Mm. But that Biltmore, if you go down that rabbit hole and do it at your own leisure, or just listen to this and, you know, take it for what it's worth. That Biltmore Hotel, if you guys remember, way back 6, 8, 10 years ago when it was coming out, the Podesta brothers had some paintings on their walls of children hanging on the wall of a...
That's the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton. He's referencing back to the Comet Pizza days and $68,000 worth of hot dogs from Chicago, where Barack Obama's from.
And the pictures were of children hanging like this on the wall of an empty pool. Well, that empty pool, I found out last night, was related to the Biltmore Hotel, because there's a pool in the basement of the Biltmore Hotel. There's also tons of tunnels. Tons of tunnels. I didn't know about that until last night. You can go verify that. Don't believe me, go verify it on your own. And then those pictures of those kids hanging, one of those children, from what I did the research, was allegedly Anderson Cooper when he was a kid, and he got paid to be the model for one of those paintings. And you go back and look at his family, and he's Alphabet Agency. Just to understand that he's Alphabet Agency. Everything that comes out of his mouth is propaganda.
So maybe he needs to hear about the narrow road, because he's got a lot of things figured out. It seems like a lot of people have a lot of things figured out. They're the bad guys, not the people that figured it out. We know who the bad guys are.
There's a picture of him and his mother sitting on his bed, and then behind him and behind his mother, and he's a little kid at that point. Behind him is a painting of Baphomet. Go look it up. Don't believe me. It's all over the interwebs. It's not AI. That was out years ago. When I first began going down that rabbit hole hard after 9/11, where all these buildings fell and there was all these squawk-eyed dents happening for hijacked planes that weren't really there. They were all ghost planes. It didn't make any sense to me because I had experience in that arena. And then they're saying, oh, wait a second. Wait. And if we don't control that, it could be a big problem for America. Huge problem. You didn't know about that until 47 got elected. I didn't know about Panama Canal being run by China. I knew a lot of the ports on the West Coast were controlled by China now.
So, boy, is it political, or is it like people are getting screwed? What's going on now?
Unless they had approved it. And you got Sean Ryan getting a guy on that allegedly parked the car in front of Trump Hotel. And it wasn't the dude that they claimed did it, but it was a guy that knew him, that got an email from him allegedly. You go down that rabbit hole and go, no, none of this makes any sense, man. It's a narrative they're pushing. It's a narrative.
We forgot that Thomas Crooks, he tried to kill the number 47 president. He tried to.
But the truth is, imagine wanting to work for a company like that. Imagine wanting to live in a country like that. And so many people were like, oh, yeah, just tell us what you know. And he actually sat on camera and said, no, we're going to flood the whole purpose. We're going to flood the public square, which means all the media sources, all the newspapers, all the radios, all the TVs, all the movies you go watch. We're going to flood it with so much misinformation, you won't know which way is up.
You think he knows which way is up, or After he records this video, he said, "Let's go watch a Star Wars movie." I don't know. They don't seem like flat earthers,
Just look this up. It's very simple.
but I
The
don't know.
Belt and Road Initiative, or the New Silk Road. The Chinese.
Yeah, they're coming for us, man. They're coming for us. Hold on to your hats. Little introduction to this. Now we're going to be getting into who ran for president. The man speaking was running for president in the 40s. This was recorded in the 80s or whenever Michael Vick. Now, because before I show this, I do not endorse dog fighting, but Robert Byrd is a racist. Whenever there was somebody that's famous black person from his area and he got caught doing something illegal, he's going to get on the and go, barbaric. You've never seen anything like this. Thank you. I thank, the Father for putting in my mind today. He's going to tell you what's evil. Robert Byrd, Grand Master of the Ku Klux Klan, who said he changed. And
the training of these poor creatures to turn themselves into fighting machines is simply barbaric. 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 Let that word resound from hill to hill and from mountain to mountain, from valley to valley, across this broad land. Barbaric. Barbaric. May God help.
right, no endorsement of dog fighting, but they've gone pretty soft on the fact that he was, he was a big Ku Klux Klan guy. The segregation, and when we go over who ran for president, this object lesson in choosing the lesser of two evils, we'll see, George Wallace, segregation now, governor, segregation always, and they're blocking the gates, Wow, let's take the time. Psalm 23, you always hear the corruption of it, about soldiers use it. I'm not afraid in the valley of death because I don't fear nothing. Nothing, honey. I bet you there's some of those big tough guys from California that do all those weightlifting muscle exercises were scared when their houses were burning down. Psalm 23, verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Did you hear that little hitch in my giddy up there? I was like, you anoint my head with. I was like thinking it was going to say olive oil, and I was like, what? What? What's that? What? The Hebrew word ra is a versatile term throughout the Old Testament to describe anything that is morally, ethically, or physically negative. It can refer to actions, thought, intentions, or conditions that are contrary to God's nature and commandments. As an adjective, it describes something as evil or wicked, while as a noun, it can donate wickedness or evil itself. It's unavoidably always evil. Genesis 2:9. Somebody did have no knowledge of good or evil until they ate of that apple. This is the creation of Eve, I think. Good and evil, thou shalt not eat, knowing good and evil. Evil, lest some evil overtake you. This is all in Genesis here, so we're rolling through Abraham and Lot, and thou shalt do us no hurt, Canaan. So pretty consistent. I'm kind of looking for that one verse where it says, they're so ugly. It's evil. It's ugly. No, it's just, you remember going through Genesis? There was this time when the Pharaoh, I saw 7 skinny cows coming out of the river. And they ate, but they stayed skinny. They ate all the food. It's from that. Pretty sure. Yeah, they're ugly and gaunt. That is 125 times out of 667. It's not the capital like Israel. This is just a verbiage. Look at all these different ways you can use it. I guess it's as long as it's got the ra in it. Want to see what that one is? That's a big one too, 125. Thou shalt do us no hurt as we have not touched. Is this the people that were living? This is like when they're getting into the brothers of, they talk a lot about, before they sell Joseph down the river, they talk a lot about what's up. Isaac and Abimelech. Okay. I always forget about the fact that a couple of times biblical patriarchs had to, say, this is my sister. Because if they said it was its wife, they would have done that thing like in Genesis 6:4. They would have killed Abraham. They would have killed Isaac and said, oh, your wife is beautiful. I want her. That's exactly what they were talking about here. Go away, he said to Isaac. You're too blessed and you're too strong. Why'd you say she's my sister? What have you done? One of the people might have easily have lain with your wife. But they were protected by God. He's thinking, the men of these places will kill me for my wife. That's not part of being evil. That's just, I was just going to bring it up. This guy, Eric Hunley, he's doing interviews. He's starting new channels. This is his short version of the story.
It is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
An event that led the U.S. into the Vietnam War under questionable circumstances. In August 1964, the U.S. Navy reported 2 incidents in the Gulf of Tonkin, claiming that North Vietnamese forces had attacked a USS Maddox and another ship. President Lyndon B. Johnson used these reports to push for the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, which granted him broad authority to escalate U.S. military involvement in Vietnam.
And I have informed them that I shall immediately request the Congress to pass a resolution making it clear that our government is united in its determination.
It would then use these manufactured atrocities as a pretext for intervention. When the plan reached President John F. Kennedy's desk, he rejected it outright.
Harry Truman once said there are 14 or 15 million Americans who have the...
He is not the good guy. Stop it.
The Kennedys' refusal to endorse Operation Northwoods added to the tension between him and the military establishment. Tensions that some believe contributed to his assassination the following year.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy.
Vatican Council completes work on mass change. All JFK did was bring Roman Catholicism and its Trinitarian gods to the table to deceive a nation. They're still talking about it today because it was the turning point in history. It was right after 1958 when they were starting the new Constitution here in the United States that was established in the 1958 Defense Education Act, how to educate America. I remember as a young man doing push-ups because it was the JFK physical fitness test. They were going to get us in shape. Things were a lot different back then. They were planning for war. They needed Dow Chemical to get Agent Orange and all of the other pesticides so that they could experiment on what's the best way to aerosol this crap. It was something like that.
Our activists.
Violence is self-defeating. He who lives by the sword will perish by the sword.
Notable figures like...
Yeah, right. You know, yeah, we all know he had some communist leanings when he had an affair. Who didn't? Everybody you almost idolized that's white, that's a founding father, was a slave-owning... There's no colors that the good guy. It's what you stand for. What's your intent? You don't have to go in for, I like MLK. Yeah, they've taken it over the top. But this was the capital of the lynching in the world. The last country that still was into it.
Luther King Jr.
Except for South Africa.
With the FBI attempting to discredit and blackmail them. Tactics included planting informants, spreading false information, and instigating internal conflicts to weaken these groups from within.
The most honored and respected Black in American history, he was not without his enemies.
Hearings and reforms designed to prevent future abuses. These programs remain stark reminders of how the government can overreach.
So that's, a reminder. This is a reminder, too. We went over this the other day about the mystery, and to make all see what is the fellowship of the mysterion. But we didn't look up the word. I don't know if that was an oversight. What was that? Ephesians 3 verse 9? That Ephesians is still in the New Testament. I'm pretty sure. I know it. All right. Mysterion. The mystery which has kept secret, that's Romans 16, this administration of the mystery for the ages, which has been hidden from the first Colossians, this mystery among you, that is, you know what? There was only few of these. We'll read them all. We read that one. Hey, who knows if I had, we could take everybody out for dinner with as many times as I read Colossians 1. And I do bleed over here. A mystery, secret. Now, they make it seem like it's a bad thing to be born again. They're trying to make, initiation is necessary to get your calling, to get your spiritual birth, to, be born of the spirit, not the flesh. Just all of a sudden, things you used to hate, now you love them. Things you used to love, it's like, nah, I think I won't be getting drunk and raping hoes tonight, or whatever you guys do out there for your thing. It's different. You don't go down that road. Mysterion refers to a divine secret, and that's the problem. We're the only ones that know it, that have been changed to believe the Bible. It's like, wow, we're stewards of these mysteries of God. That's not one of the ones we're looking up, but it's cool, right? Stewards of the mysteries. And they're going to be like, I don't believe you. I don't feel it. I don't believe the Bible. It seems silly. And you're going to be like, uh-oh. Because once they get to that stage, it's going to be like, and I think you're stupid. Quit telling me I'm going to hell. And that Jesus is so awesome. Well, I can't do that. Let's look at 27. To them, God chose to make known how great among the Gentiles are the riches of the glory of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. Him we proclaim, warning everyone, teaching everyone with all wisdom, that we may present everyone mature in Christ. For this I toil, struggling with all his energy that he powerfully works within me. Well, we know the other one is Colossians 2:2, so we'll go there. That their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love, to reach all the riches of full assurance of understanding and the knowledge of God's mystery, which is Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. I say this in order that no one may delude you with the fact that the Gibberine is a bad thing. It's a bad thing to be a mighty man, because Nimrod was called a Gibberine, but all the other dudes in the Bible that are called Gibberine were good guys. It's 99 to 1, man. The Gibberine. That's a hidden knowledge that is not plausible. They're going to delude you with some. That's a not plausible argument. But then again, people believe in Atlantis. They basically have turned Christianity into Eric Von Daniken and Gold of the Gods. I heard somebody pop on. Oh my goodness. All the way from the way across the ocean. It's Ella Rose. How are you? Your microphone's not turned on, Ella.
Hello.
Hola, how are you?
G'day, everyone. Good. How are you, Alan?
So far, so good. We're just, we made it through the election here. It's winter where I am, and things slowed down quite a bit. I'm trying to get ready for school. That's been an adventure, but how are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting there, mate. One day at a time. That's all I can say. It's
Oh
summer.
my goodness. Everything that you hear from Australia is like, yeah, this is my Australian accent. Yeah, I know we set the record on locking people down, but we're going to try to break it now. We're going to break the record for locking them down.
Yeah, they're going on about some bird flu shit and, all this other crap. And I wouldn't be surprised if they release it, because I had a really strange, rare version of the bird flu that jumped from the birds to human, and I was one of the first known cases in Australia. I actually had the Department of Primary Industries have a 40-day hold on me where I had to quarantine at my home. No one was allowed to come to my house. I had cops coming and going visiting to see. I had health department to see. Like, I was sick.
Okay, yeah. I was struggling to hear you there. Say that again. Now,
I worked at
who came to your place and has given you grief like this?
Like this is in 2009, 2010. I worked at an egg farm and I got a really rare, strange version of the bird flu that had never jumped to humans. And I think they were messing around with it back then. And like, there's all this fear mongering over bird flu and this disease X, and China's got lockdowns going on and people are dropping everywhere. It's just the same shit again, mate. And we're like, no, we're not fucking doing it. We're not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, we're not doing it, man. Everyone is just so fatigued. We are so broke. Like, the government is just against us. The power has just gone up. He said he would get power bills reduced by $240. My power bill used to be like $240 a quarter, and the last bill was $980, right? And then food's gone up like to 65, 70%, and then it's only 3%, 4%. Bullshit, man. Like, fuel, like, we're paying because it's school holidays, we're paying the other day it was $2.45 a liter. So that's about $5-6 US a liter.
That's crazy.
You know, like,
that's crazy, and and the $5 a gallon would be outrageous here.
Yeah, and like, it's just, we don't do anything here. Like, we have to buy our oil from Singapore. So the government gets us several ways. They get us with the GST. Since 98, 99, fuel went up overnight. It used to be like 55, 60 cents. Used to go 75 cents max, right, on school holidays. Now, because of the GST, the goods and services tax, right, that an extra 10% on it. So, and the government goes, oh yeah, we're going to help reduce fuel prices, blah, blah. No, they won't, because they're getting an extra 10% tax on their.
No, they're going to promise to help.
Yeah, they're going to help the corporation. They're not going to help you, us. They help the corporation.
Right.
This prick that's in at the moment is going on about, all this digital ID shit. Well, that's just lockstep with the other Commonwealth countries. Like, something's going to happen. I can feel it building up, man. Like, all these CEOs are quitting and leaving. Stuff's going on behind closed doors and people don't even see it or realize it, mate. Like, shit is happening.
Exactly. This is planned.
Yes,
Something this evil is planned. It couldn't be this efficient.
No.
Normal people wouldn't fall for this stuff.
Correct. So, it's all like, like, they generally have 2, 5, and 10-year plans, like most corporations do. So when this shit started in 2020, I knew that it was going to be a 10-year thing. I knew. Like, we've been making videos warning people about, Agenda 20 and, all that sort of shit, lockstep and all these other ones. Like, we warned everyone.
Exactly. And it is, I felt it too, Ella, the frustration. I mean, we've been doing this almost a decade, and I remember how happy I was when you said the earth is was confusing because the name of your channel. And then it's like when we were first learning all this, you're going like, okay, it's not confusing anymore. They added 1,000 years. And you were one of the first content providers that said, you know what, we got this. But it's the wait. And we still have a long time to wait, and it's only going to get worse. That's why we got to run away and hide from these people, because they'll cook you and eat you in a heartbeat.
I know, and my patience.
They'll say, where's that yummy looking Ella? We need to cook her up, and they will torture you first and then eat you.
People are so aggressive as it is because they're broke and so stressed. Like, everyone is super stressed. And then they got this thing with the meat. I don't know if you've heard about it, where they're feeding cattle all this stuff like silicon, that glycol propol shit, all these graphite, all this shit into the cattle feed. Ruminite, it's called. And it's supposed to break down like CO2. Well, cows don't do fucking CO2 shit. It's a load.
Yeah, it's all new chemicals. They just invented it, so why not sell it?
Well, the
We're
thing is, Bill Gates is involved, right? He's involved in that. And then also the other day, somehow he got a program of genetically modified organisms to be released in the country. Now, we don't have that. That's not approved by our law. He got it approved for dengue fever, but we don't have dengue fever anymore in Australia. It was eradicated in 2005, 2006, the WHO said. So why is Bill Gates releasing mosquitoes with dengue fever and
He
North
did that
Queensland?
in the United States without permission too, and he was experimenting everywhere. They
Yeah.
say it's without permission, but you know that it is a satanic
Oh, it's all
cabal
planned by the
of
UN.
those
Yeah.
skull and
Yeah.
crossbones,
Yeah. UN
owl
reports.
worshiping people at that
Yep.
Bohemian Grove
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. And that's what people don't realize. People go, "Oh, the prime minister's doing this, blah blah blah." No, the prime minister's just taking his orders from the head macho. You know, he's running the corporation. Like, you got to realize we are the cattle. You know, that's all they look at us as, and they rule over us, and we got to do as we're
Yeah.
told. You know, that's the way it runs. And we've even had Barnaby Joyce say that, like one of the politicians say that they rule over us, not the other way around, and we have to do as what we're told. Yeah, a politician said that. I just couldn't believe a politician would say that. But
One of the
you know,
things in the fires, and look for it if you see it in the news, because this is, this isn't a prophecy or me talking that crap. That's,
oh
I
yeah,
don't
no,
do that often, but this is
this
common sense. What
this is
I'm
big.
seeing
Yeah.
is they want complete compliance with, there's a fire and you're evacuated. If you don't go, you're going to be arrested for a misdemeanor. And we
Yeah,
could,
but
if
listen,
you resist, we're going to bump it up to a felony. When we
Yep.
say evacuate, we want you to
Yep.
evacuate.
They done that in Australia, and that's what they done with Off-Grid John, right? They literally threatened to arrest him, and he got his wife off the property and everything. He's like, "No, mate, I'm staying to defend my home." And the cops are like, "Well, we're not going to come in and do this and do that. We're not going to rescue you." And he goes, "Fine, piss off," you know, like. But the thing is, in Australia also now is people don't realize when COVID happened, right? All the land title shit changed, right, with the Aboriginals and everything else like that. So people don't realize, but it was slipped through Parliament and through everything. It was made by said that the land you own isn't your own land; it's owned by the government. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know how, like, when you go and get a loan on your car, right, and you go to sell it and you can't sell it because it's encumbered, right? You've got to pay that debt before the vehicle is released.
Right.
So think about this. Now, no one ever thinks about it with houses. How many times have houses been encumbered and put up as security?
Oh my, yeah. This is what's going to bankrupt those people in Malibu. The
Exactly what
entire city of
Yep.
Malibu and Pacific Palisades, right there by
Yep.
Hollywood.
Well,
It looks
State
like
Farm.
it's been
Yep.
firebombed in Tokyo when we
Yep.
look at those old.
Yep. Exactly. Now, State Farm cancelled the insurance, and they said like a month before, and then they've got the smart city plan. You know, like, I've got all the information out there about the smart city plans that they're doing and everything. And maybe we can look at what area is going to be next to sort of try and warn people. But this is all planned. You know, like, it's not going to change. You really got to get right with God. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
everybody's going to have a chance to see the people they walked by and didn't believe that they were homeless. They counted them all as drunks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, the governments supplied the fentanyl to keep them that way.
Of course. Yeah,
But
it's the same thing in
there
Australia.
were people, I did a report on the fire, and I focused on the world's most expensive trailer park because it was in that area, Pacific Palisades.
Yeah.
One of the trailers was selling for $5.1 million. Every single one of them burnt down. But they would say, yeah, it's a trailer, but I'm in Pacific Palisades. And they had to pay the insurance, and they had to pay a lot fee of $1,000 to $4,000, depending on the expense of your trailer, a month.
Wow.
And now they're going to be broke.
Nothing out in the street. You know, the land will be taken off them. They'll say you can't live on this land anymore. It's too dangerous because of the winds coming down in the fire season. That's the excuse they're going to use. And then they're going to use floodplain areas to keep people out of floodplain areas and round them up into the cities. That's all planned, you know, like these fires. The good thing about these fires is, right, it's waking people up, you know, like people are going, what the hell? Why you've got fires in winter? What's going on? the directed energy, you know, happen in real
It is
time.
that directed energy, that
Yes,
rabbit
yeah,
trail that they
correct.
couple of people went down and said, yeah, they could make it rain. They can move the fire too.
Oh, of
It
course they
looks like
can. Of course they can. If the government wanted to put that fire out, they could have put it out straight away. They don't like what? It's an attack on the people. It's an attack on the citizens.
they just don't right now. They aren't going to be making computers in Australia or the United States.
No,
They're going to be making them in China.
no,
And so they
actually,
don't need a
China. No,
Silicon Valley. It's
it'll be
redundant.
India. It'll be India. It won't be China. China, you know, the people got into China too big. Like China, they got too greedy and they wanted too much in wages. So all of that production is going to go to India now. Like when I was a child, everything was made in Japan or Taiwan, and then they wanted their wages to be up and higher. And that's when they went to China, and they have these 30-year trade deals. This is a problem we got here in Australia. It's a problem America's got is the government makes the trade deals that they swap equipment, you know, and they don't trade money and all that kind of shit. Well, this is our problem. This is why we got no GDP or growth or anything, you know.
Intuitively, it just sounds so logical because we always forget about India and the United States. The reason they own all the stores in the United States is because they're like they can count. They know how to give change, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, they're a smart group of people, and there's a billion of them.
Listen, this is the other thing, right? Everyone needs to realize that BlackRock and Vanguard is owned by Merrill Lynch, and they own each other.
BlackRock.
Right? And these companies, right, they're bankrupt. They're using our money, our super, right, to invest in markets that we don't want to invest in, but, you know, they go and do it anyway. Like, you know.
Right. And that's not counting, you know, they started out as mercenaries. That's still their number one business. They just got all the stocks and bonds. Like BlackRock and Blackwater might as well be the same thing to me.
They are the same thing. You know, like when you look at the wages of my father, like we are actually $70 a week worse off when you convert the dollar and everything. And we pay more taxes now. So this is why no one can get ahead in life. Like the amount of taxes here in Australia we pay, unreal. Like, and then why do you have to pay tax to someone when that person's already paid tax for that product? Why?
Oh my goodness! If you know, I'm 67. But back in the day, until I was like 50, you know, you could sell a paper clip on eBay for $1 because they just wanted feedback. You needed good feedback, you know, and stuff. Everything was new. You could make money. My wife and I have both made $1 million in our lives, you know.
Yeah, but you can't now. Like I've had.
But not anymore. Not anymore. You need $1 million to buy a trailer in California.
Yeah, no, like I've had stuff listed on eBay, old books, right, antique books, and no one's even looking at them, you know, like even board games and stuff. I don't think people have the money, to be honest. And the other thing is, I found out, you know how like YouTube and all that, like they paid their creators, like they built up the channels and they allowed, you know, certain content on, they allowed other content. Well, I was listening to a podcast where that money actually comes from governments in the region. So, say here in Australia, the Australian government would set aside like, you know, $800,000 a year to pay the content creators to build up. Yeah, I found that out, and like US was paying $3.5 billion a year, and it's all owned by the Alpha Corp, which is, you know, US.
Those numbers just don't make sense. That kind of money, I just.
Yep. That's how much, and it was all those black. Yeah, like I'll email you that one, but it's amazing.
Hey,
you know, the shit that's going on.
What's your? I'm doing a little bit of a special on tonight, the lesser of two evils, talking about, you know, when you vote and you know when is it evil enough that you should be like, hey, you know, because that's what it's coming down to. I mean, you know, what's it going to be at the next election? Donald Trump and Michelle Obama? I think Trump is a setup. I don't think he's going to save America.
No, I don't think there'll be another election. Trump said the snake poem. Remember, you knew I was a snake and you let me in, right? I don't trust Trump at all. They're all related. All the presidents are related. He's related to Hillary. He's admitted he's related.
Yeah, the Bushes and the Trump are that old Irish mafia. They're the mob that used to work for the Italians.
Yep.
And they put them in, you know. Now they're the.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I got video of him in Scotland at a Scottish Rite event, you know, and he was sitting in the head chair, and like Melania was off to the side, all dressed up in their red capes and everything, and he had a red cape on. It was the Scottish Rite. He was the head of the Scottish Rite. So, and that's something I
Right.
understand
So,
recently.
well, I'm gonna get on with my show now. Hop on anytime, but really, when it comes down to are the Scottish powerful? Well, they like golf. And now the world likes golf, and they
Hey,
cover up their crimes with golf
yeah.
courses.
Listen, can I tell you what golf acronym actually stands for? So GOLF actually comes from gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. So they must have been going through and fighting stuff to keep the women out. That's where it actually comes from. Gentlemen only, ladies forbidden.
Wow.
Yep, that's where the name
That's
comes from.
awesome.
Great
Yeah,
city, man.
and there's one thing to be like, men should be at the head of the church and women, but you know what those guys wanted to be alone to do? They like to
Yes.
put each other's penises in their
Yes.
mouth, and that's not it. That's how they start off. That's fun to them.
Yep, they're sickos. Yep.
That's what they do. I know it.
Yeah, but no, actually, at the moment here in Australia, we've got a bit of a thing going on with Israel telling Australia what to do about synagogues being spray painted with Hamas stuff, and we got lots of people protesting and shit. And I just feel like here in Australia, shit's about to hit the fan any day. Everyone is just ready to snap, like it's coming. I can feel something's building up, man. Like I can feel it.
Yeah, I'd say stay away from the protest. That's where they get people in trouble. They set them up. January 6th wasn't the first time. Sometimes you go to a protest, they got it on film. They blow a whistle, and half the people in the crowd were paid informants that turned around and walked away, and everybody else got rounded up and put in jail.
Well, see, I warned everyone when they went to the Canberra protest not to go, that they had those long-range acoustic devices. And, then people are bitching that they got burned, like, skin burns and shit. And I said, well, I warned you all not to go and to get out of there, and that the devices were there and that they would use them if anyone walked towards, like, the Canberra House, like the January 6th protest. It's like, so, that's illegal to actually use those weapons in Australia, believe it or not. Even in war, it's illegal to use these weapons.
Right. Go to your small local protest, but don't go to Washington. Don't go to Sydney. Don't go to New York. Don't go to Melbourne. Don't go to Montreal. Don't go to the big cities and protest. That's where they're set up to throw your butt in jail. And
well, it's not only that, you put yourself in a place where you might get injured and stabbed or shot or something, like it's not worth getting hurt, for something.
Yeah, no. And it's not going to count a hill of beans. It doesn't work. They have an agenda. They're sticking to it. Right now, it's the Republicans' turn in the United States. The Democrats might have theirs again. But now we know Russia's in the mix. China's in the mix. BRICS is in the mix. We ain't got no money. We ain't got water to put out fires in California.
Mm-hmm. They even banned in Australia, right? A couple of weeks back, they banned the book 1984 and the book Lord of the Flies.
Wow.
Yep, they're banned now. Lord of the Flies and 1984. Can you believe that?
Well, Lord of the Flies is a creepy movie and creepy book, That's how they wanted to get people, to think, if we leave them alone, they'll turn to savages like a feral hog.
Yep, they'll eat each other. They'll kill each other.
But, those books are for decoding. And 1984, I remember reading it in high school. And then when 1984 came around, I took a college class that was teaching 1984 just so I could say I did it.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was, and I studied it hard. It was interesting, They sucked them in with trinkets and antiques from the old days, and people that were interested in that, those were their targets. That's how they got them.
Yeah.
Couple fell in love because they liked antiques. Well, Ella, I'm going to get on with this list of the presidents and talk about the lessers of two evils. Thank you so much, everybody. Ella is a content provider. You can see her link there. Go and subscribe. and
I'll be in the chat.
share the frustration. Adios.
See you later. Bye.
So that was a wonderful visit. Let's just finish up with that Romans 16:25. How about the Berean Standard? Now to him who is able to strengthen you by my gospel and by my proclamation of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery concealed for ages past, but now revealed and made known through the writings of the prophets by the command of the eternal Father, in order to lead all nations to the obedience that comes from faith. To the only wise God be glory forever through Jesus Christ. And by his blood we are cleansed of our very real sins. Amen. Hallelujah. Quartus. Look at that. That name was jumping out at me there. So here, one more thing though. Here's a little bit. And what bugs me is this guy here. He is always. I've shown him before. He's the professor of physics that just goes, "I'll teach it, but it's not real. It doesn't work. It, you know." And so he's talking to Chat GTP about this Chat LGDQP. But they use the voice of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Ugh.
Drawback of contemporary physics, yet you seem to hesitate to seem a clear stance on that.
I'm inclined to agree. Explaining why G isn't, say, 10 times larger is a glaring gap in our theories. We don't just want to shrug it off as a unit artifact. We need a deeper framework. Lacking that, we're stuck accepting G as an empirical brute fact, a philosophical thorn in physics.
Are you trying to be consistent in your answers across users? I mean, would you tell the same thing to a researcher promoting that, nonsense in my view, dimensionful constants being irrelevant? I know this is a meta question, but I'm just curious.
I aim for consistency in logic and underlying facts, but I also adapt my phrasing and emphasis depending on context and the user's perspective. So while my stance remains the same, the way I express it might vary to engage different viewpoints.
Interesting. Okay, being
So
diplomatic.
the significance of G in their world is the mythical gravity. Got that in. Now, look it. I first voted in this election. And I voted for Jimmy Carter because he wanted to legalize marijuana. I didn't know nothing about no Ronald Reagan. I voted for John Anderson in the primary. I just turned 18. I was ready to vote, man. So if you ask me, you know, Reagan won and we all celebrated. We thought he was good. Now we find out, you know, he was selling crack. He made crack. He sold hostages for guns and guns for hostages by the crack. Then Walter Mondale, he didn't have a chance. The lesser of two evils. You know, we were happy. Bush won. And he said, read my lips, no new taxes. Then he raised taxes and had a war. And his son picked right up where he left off. Ron Paul sucked off enough votes to guarantee George Bush's victory. Same thing that Ross Perot did for George Bush and Bob Dole. I was voting for Bo Gritz. I didn't know he was a crazy person. But all of these people, I mean, Al Gore or George Bush, knowing what we know now, Bob Dole, what's he famous for? Oh, Bob Dole's not going to go giving you no come hither looks like Steve Forbes, right? Vote for me. You know, it's like he was kind of like crazy old Biden man. He was already. And then it got into, you know, John McCain, son of a senator, never admitted he got broken in interrogation when he was a prisoner in Korea until they forced him to so he could run for president. He popularized the Sarah Palin. Then Mitt Romney. I quit voting. That's the lesser two evils. And then later on, I realized, wow, what am I doing? He wrote the program. These people are working together to get it exactly where they have it right now. And as we looked at evil, we talked with Ella about how our countries seem to have gone down to that pathway. We think it's because Satan's loosed, and that eventually Christians are going to have to not draw a line in the sand and fight them, because they will cook and eat you. You need to get farm tech smart, run away, and live to live another day, waiting, because it says, blessed are those who make the last 45 years. That's how the book of Daniel ends. And that's what Jesus said. There'd be a first resurrection, and then there'll be those who are waiting for that book of life. Some group will be encompassed about and rescued and purified. Most things are purified by blood. There are a few things, and we have been purified by blood, but those who make the last 45, you'll be purified by fire. And remember, that fire didn't hurt Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, did it? Not a bit. Not a bit. Flat Earth Nation, the golden age is past, because the mud flood was Armageddon. And then there was a reaping. Put in your sickle and reap. Put in that other sickle and get those grapes of wrath. And now we got some orphan train mess. Big deal. We'll deal with it. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arriba dirty. Ciao. Sayonara. Atheta say. Nakamate.